when Adam and Eve sinned in the garden and they fell, the Bible says that they looked at each other and they knew that they were naked. So God went and he was looking from, the Bible says he was looking for them in the garden, and they were hiding from God. And there they are hiding from the Lord. And he says, where have you gone? What have you done? And there they are hiding, and look, they had covered themselves with some fig leaves. They like, God, we don't know what happened. Like little kids just cover themselves with fig leaves. God looked at them. He said, just like we do with our own kids, like, the kids got into the cookie jar, stole the cookies. Did you steal them cookies? Mm-mm. Got cookies all over his mouth, cookie all over his hands. You're like, boy, come here, wash them hands. Go wash up, boy. Go wash up. He ain't been all up in the cookie. I didn't steal no cookie. God's cookie all over him. Adam and Eve hiding from God. What did you do? He said, he looked at me probably just like, goodness gracious, look at these folk. Went and he slew an animal and put skins on them. Now, understand this about God. And when you understand this about God, you'll understand this about Jesus. You'll understand this about the Word. You'll understand this about life. And you'll also understand this about men and women of God. At least those who are full of the Spirit. In everything God does, he's teaching. If you're not careful to pay attention, you'll miss it. In everything that God does, everything he's doing in your life, every single thing is intending to teach you something. If you ain't careful, you'll miss it. So we read that and we read right over it. He was teaching them. No, leaves is not going to do this. Did somebody catch it? Leaves is not going to fix this. Listen, how many try to fix stuff with leaves? Huh? I told y'all missed it. Listen. Somebody need to get delivered. Listen, you depressed? You got problems? I told y'all ain't ready for me. Mama acting up, kids acting up, family acting up. What's God saying? Leaves not gonna fix this, man. Somebody say, you need Jesus. Leaves is not gonna fix this. Look at them, got leaves on. He took an animal, he said no. He slew the animal and he clothed them with the furs. And that animal became the first lesson. The lesson of what God deemed as acceptable to cover sin. Do you see that? So he was teaching. So he was teaching. And so I don't know whether Cain ignored Adam's teaching, if Adam learned. I don't know if Adam learned and forgot to teach Cain, or if Adam didn't learn and didn't teach Cain. But somewhere, it might have just been passed down the bloodline. Cain picked up, the bad gene from mom. And listen, because when God came to collect a sacrifice, Cain showed up to the Lord like this. I got some good. I got some good crop. Come on, y'all. I got the best bud in Eden. God said, I've taught this lesson before. Leaves, somebody say leaves is not going to fix this. Cain done brought his crop, he done brought vegetable, he done brought all the stuff, all the plants, he done brought more leaves. God was like, don't they learn? Ain't he learning? I don't want no leaves. Abel came. Oh man, when Abel showed up and he had the first fruits of his livestock, the firstborn. Oh, God was pleased. He said, man, he got it right. And not only that, I see myself in this sacrifice. So what does that tell you? We're talking about worship. Listen, we ain't talking about music. We ain't talking about singing. We ain't talking about Bethel. We ain't talking about guitars. We ain't talking. Worship begins here with sacrifice. That's why we got a lot of worshipers and they got no anointing because they ain't got no sacrifice. They thought worship was just about singing. You got a voice, I can work. No, it's about sacrifice. It's good to have a voice underneath. It's good to have a voice on top of the foundation of your sacrifice. So if you have a heart of sacrifice, then you carry a true worship. The expression of your worship is a result of where your heart is, of what's in you. Cain, all he had was leaves. He couldn't produce a proper sacrifice because it wasn't in him. He had inherited that bad seed that came through Eve, and he inherited that from mom. And so then Abel had caught something. He had caught something spiritually. He had something in him that produced a pleasing sacrifice. It produced a true worship. Because your worship, listen, worship is a mirror. Watch this. The word is a mirror to you. Worship is a mirror to God. Does somebody catch it? So when God looks on the earth and he's looking for something pleasing, he's looking for an aroma. We taught about worship and we talked about the fact that conversation, your lifestyle, it's a worship. What aroma is coming from your life? That's the worship he's looking at, besides any song, besides any music. He's looking at the aroma of your life. That defines your worship. The conversation of your life, that defines your worship. So when God looks in the earth for a pleasing worship, he's looking for a mirror to see himself in. Somebody said, listen, prophet, I know what you're talking about. When the angels are glorifying the Lord in heaven, what do? Glory, 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 glory. They're literally just being a mirror of his glory. Glory, glory. You put two mirrors next to each other, what do? I see you, you see me. Oh wow, I move my hand, you move your hand. I move my foot, you move your foot. Oh, in the mirror, right? You put two mirrors next to each other, when they're in front of each other, they're just going to reflect each other. Glory, 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 glory. So worship should reflect God to himself. If he can't see himself in your worship, in your sacrifice, in your offering, it's displeasing to him. What are you offering God? The only thing that's acceptable to God is himself. Watch this. Now, Abel brings a sacrifice. Not only does God see himself in it, he sees Christ. He sees Christ in his offering. The firstborn of the livestock and the ability for blood to be shed. Do you see that? So when I was looking at this, when I was praying over this and the Lord was showing this to me, I began to understand that Cain's sacrifice wasn't, Abel's sacrifice wasn't really the firstborn of his livestock. The firstborn of his livestock was an expression of the true offering of himself to the Lord. Do you see that? So somewhere in there, Cain was willing to give of his life.